Okay, so we want to talk about home ownership as a source of building wealth. Most people kind of get it confused that when you buy a home or you buy homes, whatever that may be, that it's just buying a home. It's of course, a home is a place we all need to live in, right? We need to live somewhere. But it's really important to understand it's the beginning of investment. It's for most people, that's the biggest investment they're gonna make. And yet you can spend very little into this big investment. And most people don't get that the biggest investment, if you think, and we're gonna talk about it later on, if you're buying stocks, if you're buying into the money market, you got to put a lot of money into it in order for you to get a good return. So but a home, some homes you can buy with nothing out of your pocket or very little out of your pocket, but yet it's one of the biggest investment, probably one of the it's really one of the biggest investment. We're going to go into the history and other stuff. So welcome coming into our workshop. We're talking about how to build wealth today. Okay, so let me get started so I can introduce my partner here. Okay, so my name is Gary Nix with the Gary Nix team. I've been doing real estate and investing for about 20 years. Actually, my first home I bought was in 97, so that would make it a little over 20 years. And I bought my second home in I think in 2006. Okay, so I'm a broker associate at Keller Williams, meaning I could manage my business, I could control my business. I do have a great team that work with me, for those of you that connect with me. And my co-speaker, Alex, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, hi guys. I'm happy to be here. My name is Alex Islas. I am with East West Bank, and I've also been doing this for quite a while. This November, not only was it going to be our birthday, but I think it's going to be officially about 22 years doing this. So I'm here. Hope to give you guys some information that you guys can use.
All right, and I purposely pick Alex because he's a community outreach person, and they have programs that will help people in getting to home ownership, not just the first time, but also the second time. We'll talk about that. All right, so real estate is a way to build wealth. And we're going to talk about the history of how we can do this. All right, really excited. So let's go back to history, how this great nation was found. If you think about the history of time, Columbus looking in the South Seas and finding different lands. It's all about land ownership. It's really about discovering that place of land. I was in England last month. I was in England last month, and I remember, on a taxi, and this taxi guy was giving me some history. He said, Lord York is the one that started New York. Lord Jersey. I'm like, wow. So it was people from over there that came here, and to be a lord, you are not in a high level ranking over there. And then a lot of commoners came in like, hey, let's go find our place of wealth, right? So, and that's what happened. People wanting to grow. And I think in the core of America, and that's why even, foreigners come over here to explore the land and see where they can find their gold. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I love movies that, I don't know how many Clint Eastwood movie I watched where is getting his land and it's protecting his land and trying to kill everybody that come around the land. So I used to enjoy this kind of movie. And I think we have some movie clips that we'll show you here. But this is how wealth was built. And the great thing I want everybody to see, this wealth was available for all of us, even back in the slave trade. When they released us from slave, people went out and seek their own piece of land. Where can I get my own piece of land? What community can I get in where I don't have people coming to attack me, that I can keep my piece of land? It's really in the core of who we are, right? Okay, what's going on with my slide? Okay, so the Wild Wild West. I love what's his name? Wild Wild West. Anybody know the name of the star that just slapped guys?
Will Smith.
Will Smith. Thank you. So I love all those movies because it's where can you go and get that piece of land and ride on with it and create a fortress around you, and then that's how wealth was built. Why is this slide so? Okay, excuse me. So people are vying for gold and land all over the place. Up to today, if a new movie comes out and it's about struggle for land, you will see it. And honestly, my real estate career, it started from this. I met a gentleman that told me, hey, go help people get land. And when you help people get land, you get people to become wealthy. So that's a connecting thing for me, and it's really big. So when you see me, if I come in contact with you and talking about, hey, getting that first piece of land, it doesn't matter what it is. Honestly, I'm kind of diverting from the script for a second here, but so that you guys understand the passion I have for everybody getting some piece of land. I met a gentleman in my earlier career where I was selling something else, and I helped him, and he bought a lot of stuff from me, and he really enjoyed the great service I gave to him and the passion I was indulging to him in providing that service. And when he left, he said, son, can I give you an advice? I said, sure, sir. And he said, go sell real estate. I'm like, really? Why? He said, if you help people the way you help me today, you're going to help a lot of people become richer. Some people don't know it. It doesn't matter what they get at first. It's a step to acquiring wealth. So when this gentleman left, because I sold him like $30,000 worth of stuff, which is something I will sell in 2 weeks, where I was at that time. And so I Googled him, Google is up, in those days. And I found out it was the 64th richest man in the world at that time. And then I read his story, and his story was really like this. It's really like this. He came from nothing. His parents were living in a motorhome. They had a motorhome that they parked, and that's where they were living. Him and 5 kids. So it's him and 4 other siblings. And his determination then was, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to work, and I'm going to save money to buy a piece of land. And that's how this man, who eventually became the 64th richest man in the world, that's how it started. So it's amazing when I come across people and they're like, oh, I got to have this big home. Like, no, you don't. You just need to get home and get started. All right. Sorry, the slide. Okay. So, and again, why is it important for us to do this, right? They were fighting all over is to build wealth. The reason why people were fighting for land is to build wealth. And if we see it like that, then we won't have a problem with whatever we're able to get. Okay. So Okay, I don't know if we can hold up because we still have a lot to cover. Uh, we just need to, so I'm sure you all know. Okay, these two movies, Titanic, which is one of the biggest movies in that's ever been played, right? The emotions that it took us through. But the journey was about the young man, right? This young man that was a nobody and had hopes to become somebody, going to America where he's going to have his own piece of land. That's really all it was about, and somehow emerge in to the high society and connect with this beautiful super, not, I think she's pretty rich, but she's, more influenced, girl that was going to be the love of his life, right? And we also choose Far and Away because, again, that was Tom Cruise was like a poor guy there that wants to go outside of his world to become find his own land where he can live in. So that's the whole concept of those two movies, and so many more movies like that that we're kind of going through, like, okay, which movie can we play? But sorry about technology. Okay, so can we take that off? Let me go back to sharing screen. Thank you. Okay. All right, so all of that is to find a place to get wealth, and people die in this process. So today's world, we have the ability to do these things in our hand. It's just what's holding us back is our mind. Okay, so we'll talk about the movie clip. So I'm going to take you guys through, and Alex, I wanted to come in here. So we're going to go through three different formulas in life, right? Understanding the wealth formula, right? What's the wealth formula? Everybody understand you got to have a job, right? Your job gives you certain amount of income, and you make that money, and the goal is to save a little bit. Don't live, paycheck to paycheck, to save a little bit, right? But what the smart people do is also find a way to invest that money. I think in the good book, it talks about the three servants, one that was given a lot, one that was given little, one that was given one. And the key thing is to make sure, even if you have a little money, you learn to save a little bit. So, because emergency can happen at any given time. And if all your money is gonna spend, you don't have it, right? So, Alex, any comments regarding the wealth formula?
Yeah, so obviously you need to, have a job to make it, right? Yeah. But then once you make it, is what are you doing with it? And then once you put it away, right, then how are you making it grow? So it's kind of like the thing I always tell people is, look, guys, most of us, for whatever reason, we're taught, don't buy that till you have this type of job. Why are you looking to buy a home if you don't make what you want to make, right? So the reason I say that is because, look, don't wait to have the perfect job to then think about buying real estate, because yes, you have to make a good amount of money, but you'd be surprised the people that we've been able to help that don't have that perfect job, or that 100,000 or 150,000 or whatever their goal is, right? It's all about making the money, saving it, and then what are you doing with it, right? Yeah. Because what happens is, think about your money as seeds. And as I was watching those videos, and I don't know if you guys have seen, some of those movies, but there's value in having seeds, right? Seeds for corn, seeds for rice, seeds for, whatever. There was, back in those days, though, that was just as worth, if not more at certain times, than gold. Yeah. Why? Because you can plant it, right? You can plant it and then it's going to grow. That's the same way you got to look at your money. It's not about how much you're making, is how are you planting it to make you money, right? So and look, I don't want to go into like a history lesson, but the thing is that if you guys remember, there's a lot of people who came west to seek riches in making gold. But what the history books don't tell you is that a whole lot of people, 1 out of every 20 people, went broke, bankrupt, because they were looking to make gold. The people that didn't go broke is, guess who? The people who bought land. That's how a lot of landowners, the Irvine family, a lot of people, especially in Southern California, that's how they made money in those days. They bought land. They didn't look for gold. So stop looking for gold, right? Make your seeds, plant them, and buy yourself the land so you can then, that's how your seeds are going to grow.
All right. Thank you, man. So again, once you get into saving, I want to make sure we give you all the full formula of wealth, right? And all of these are fine, and you should probably dabble into every one of these, right? Either stocks, mutual funds, money market, or property. But what you have to understand is most of this other stuff, you got to put all the money into them to gain something out of them. You got to put more money into them. You're buying stocks. You need $100,000 in stocks. Well, you got to put $100,000 into it. Mutual funds, now it doesn't have to be 100,000. It could be 10,000 stocks or 5,000 stocks, but you got to put all the money into it in the beginning to do anything with it. And what's different for real estate is sometimes you're buying that $100,000 with zero out of your pocket, right? Sometimes you're buying it with very little out of your pocket. It gets you started where you have some wealth built up, and yet it didn't cost you as much. Very hardly do I get a cash buyer. We do have some cash buyers every now and then, right? But most people buy a $500,000 home, putting $20,000 out of their pocket, right? We just had a closing for a $540,000 home, and they put like $26,000 out of their pocket, and then they immediately build on wealth, because you look at, if they were to rent their place out, they could be making $400 a month out of it right away. So these are the things that we want you to consider. I'm not saying it's got to be just real estate, but it's easier to get into real estate than anything else. Alex, do you have any comments on this?
Well, yeah, this kind of, it's funny how stocks, mutual funds, and money market, obviously, those are all forms of making money. But that goes right to what I mentioned at the beginning, is when people came west, right? A lot of them wanted to make money off of finding golds, striking it rich, right? Oh, they found the what is it called? The mother lode, right? That is what stocks, mutual funds, and money markets are, right? You can make it, right? But you have to invest all of it into it, right? You have to, if you want to invest $100,000 in the stock market, you have to put the entire amount in. If you're going to buy, for example, a $100,000 home, you don't have to buy it in cash. You can do it with as little as 3% down. So that means you're going to acquire an asset for $100,000, but it's only going to cost you $3,000 to buy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why believe it or not, buying real estate is less riskier than putting all your money into the stock market. Because I'll tell you, I have very people extremely close to me who this year have lost $150,000 just because they wanted to strike it rich in gold, right? The mother lode. But the people that have bought their homes with 3% down, guess what? They're good, because the properties are going up in value, and their initial investment was less. So hopefully that kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna talk about the dream.
So hopefully that kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna talk about the dream ladder. Okay, what I say, the dream ladder. You have to start with a dream, so you can accomplish something. The good book says the old man dream dreams and the young man, fulfill dreams, right? So you have to have a dream to see where you can go. You know, how do you get a house? And then, you know, first concept obviously is to get that one house, right? But what I'm finding out is that, and I'm going to show you stats on the richest in America, right? We all live in America, so that's what I can talk about. Is, you know, what if you do it again, right? Because a lot of people, it's like, okay, they buy the house and they just stop there, and they see that the house is gaining them wealth, but they stop. So I am an instigator, or advocator for you to do it again. Find a way to do it again to continue to grow your wealth. So let me kind of take you through that, okay? So the first house you buy, just like Alex is saying, you can buy it as low with 3% down. And the truth is, some homes you can buy with 0 down. It's just finding what's going to help you to. I always say it just starts with a mindset. If you just put it in mind, like, I want to buy something, all of a sudden the universe or the atmosphere will be open up to you to find ways to get it. All right. So you buy the house, you're living in there, you know, you're going to live in the house. So if you're going to be living in an apartment or any place you're going to live in, why don't you figure a way to buy into one? All right. I just got a call this morning. This brother was like, you know, we talked about 4 years ago that for him to buy a house that he was living in. And now it just rises up to the question like, okay, Gary, I need to do something to buy this place from the owner. But in 4 years' time, holy shit, he's lost like $250,000 that he could have gained if he had made that decision 4 years ago. You know, so it's just getting that understanding, and that's how you build equity. You know, you live in it, you're gonna build equity in it. So that's the first house. Again, we're talking about the dream ladder here, right? The second house, and Alex, you can feel free to join me anyone on this, right? Is you gotta play the game to buy a game, right? There are ways to figuring it out. And you know, a professional real estate person like myself, we are here to help you. You know, Alex is a lender. Is to help you figure that out. But what I just want to have people who open up their mind is that you can do it again. It could just be you know, a couple, maybe somebody else buying one, or maybe you buy a condo before, now you can buy a single family home. It's different ways you can find a way where even the second house doesn't cost you as much. It's just finding a way to do that, right? Any comments that you want to add to that?
Well, and the thing is that, look, the banks, they create a path for you to acquire multiple properties. It's just you have to really see it. So what do I mean by the path? So they understand that when you first buy your home, right, it may not be the home you want to buy, right? It's going to be your starter home, right? So they make it easy for you to start with between no down payment and maybe 3% down payment. So they're making it easy for you to get into it, right? Because the banks understand it. Believe it or not, banks are not as bad as people think, right? But you just have to understand. You have to see. The bank's not going to tell you what the path is. You just have to see it for yourself. So look, you can start off not the ideal home, but you can start. Let's say you buy that home with 0% down, right? You buy that first home. It's not in the area you want to buy it. It's not as big, right? And then guess what? A year, 2 years go by. You're making more money. That property went up in value. Now, guess what? The bank will allow you to buy another home with potentially even 3% down payment and leave that one behind as long as that new home is bigger, because they understand, you know what? They're making more money. Things are going better for them. So now you're going to buy another home. You rent the other home, right? You buy the new one as long as it's bigger, better neighborhood. And guess what? You've bought 2 homes with only 3% down payment. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's the path. And guess what? By the time you've bought your second home, you have a rental. That rental, those seeds that you planted are starting to come in, right? So now the idea is that the bank assumes that you're going to have a nest egg, because not only are you depending on your wages, but now you also have passive income coming in. So now, guess what? You can afford that third property, but by now you should have accrued some assets because of that rental or that equity. Because now maybe potentially you can even, sell it or refinance it, take money out. But you see how the path is there for you to take it. It's just understanding, kind of seeing the progression and just being patient with it. But the path is laid out for you guys there.
All right. Thank you so much. And just you think, no, it doesn't end there. This is a lifestyle worth of, and I'm trying to get people to see what the wealthy Americans are doing, right? The third home, you can buy with a family, you can buy with your son or your daughter, you can partner with somebody else, or like you just said, now you've built a lot more wealth where you can now refinance one of your own, take money out and put 25% down on that third home, because now you're beginning to grow wealth. This is the path. It looks like, when you want to buy, I always like to use this lady. I try to get her to come in today, but she's our business is busy around this time. Met this young lady about 8 years ago. She was making $40,000 a year. And she said, Gary, my parents were poor. I don't want to be like that. So I want you to tell me how I can get not one home, but two homes. I'm like, really? As a start off, and we had to first start with our credit. Our credit was, off the chain, not so good. I give her some directions. She did it, and boom, the credit went back up where it needs to be. And she got her first home. And she called me up literally a year later, like, Gary, remember I told you I want to get more than one? So you only got me one. How are you going to give me the second one? I'm like, I love that. It was a duplex that she got at first. And I'm like, okay, can you move out of your duplex and go somewhere else? And say, yeah, I can go back to my parents' house. I'm like, cool. I said, rent the second one out. So now you have two income, because her income that she's making is, it's what it is. And so now she had those two. I said, file your taxes. I think she coming like around September. I said, well, you file your taxes, show you are both of them rented. So now we have more income, like Alex was alluding to show, for her. And with that, next year she was able to buy a house. So still makes about $48,000 today, but she's worth about, between those two houses, almost $800,000 in wealth in 8 years. I don't know, Kia, maybe it was 8 to 10 years ago, somewhere around that time. And she just called me like, I'm thinking I want to go buy something in Texas, and we're talking about it. So it's possible when we put our mind together. Now, because of time, I don't want to hold up too long. We got to go to another ladder. We have another 2 ladders to climb. So this is the wealth ladder, and I'm really excited about this. Again, as a man thinketh, so he is, right? How do we build wealth? Okay, let's kind of go through the steps, because I want to leave time for Q&A for Alex to answer any questions you guys may have. So let's talk about the wealthy, right? The top 2% holds more than one home. Top 2% of America. Just for you to be in the top 2% of America, wealthier people, you own more than one home. And another thing is they have 1 million in equity aside from their primary home. So that means either the equity on their second house, savings, retirement funds, they've got about $1 million worth. That's why this is a country of millionaires. And you think it's not possible. Look at that lady she makes $48,000 2 years ago. It's worth about $800,000 now. Yeah, she's become a business person now. She quit her job. So it's a little bit different, dynamics going on. But again, He's looking to find a third one. But somebody that makes 40 to 48,000 worth almost 800,000. That's wealth building, right? And it's just the mindset that gets ahead there. And then if you want to be in the top 1% of America, okay, you have 2 million in equity or wealth aside from your primary home. So your primary home is the beginning of it, it's not the end of it. So it's really important for us to see that we can go beyond the first home. If we just, a lot of people just stay with that first home and they see the wealth building and they just satisfied with it. But if you want to get to the top 2% or the top 1%, this is the ladder to climb. Alex, any comments on this?
Well, yeah, and I mean, and I was still thinking about, the ladder or the path, right? But you guys have to just, like I mentioned, right? Is the path is there for you to follow it. You just got to be patient, right? Because look, so the first home, right? Then the second home, then a third home, right? But what we didn't even mention is that banks allow you to potentially purchase a second home with as little as, there are programs out there that you can buy a second home with 0 down payment. See what I'm saying? So you could make 50,000 a year as an example, and 5 years, 6 years later, have 4 homes. It sounds odd, right? But the thing is that the path is there. First home, you upgrade, right? Large down payment because now you have assets, right? Then you could buy a second home, right? So technically, you see what I'm saying? But now the other thing is this: you guys really got to ask yourself, is that what you want? Right? Because everybody wants to be wealthy, right? Everybody wants to climb the ladder, but you got to really ask yourself, do I really want that? The easy answer is yes, but you really got to think about it, right? Are you willing to be patient, right? Are you willing to put in that time and follow it? Because if you are, I mean, I'm looking at that 1%. Believe it or not, that 1% isn't far away for you guys. You just got to follow the path. A lot of us want to make our own path. It's okay if you want to make your own path, but follow what's already been said and what's worked for others. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right. So this is a kind of a funny face right here. Hopefully you guys can get a lot of laugh on it. Okay. So how do people get into the wealth ladder, right? We'll talk about, having 2 million in equity or assets or liquid to get there. So the first one I put there is number one, download it, develop an app, right? Because this is the new age that we're in. I think what area in San Francisco area in the Northern California that you have a lot of app builders and whatnot. So you develop an app and the app makes money and you sell it and you're in good money. You could be worth $1 million, $10 million. People develop an app, sell it for 10 million, or they sell it for 200 million, and they are there. Matter of fact, I know this newest guy. Somebody called me up like, hey, Gary, do you know this a particular guy in Atlanta? He just developed this calendar appointment app, and it's worth $1.3 billion because of that. So you have that, but you still got to be a smart genius to build it like that. Then you have the second way, to build wealth. It's marry into a wealth or inherit one, right? I don't know. Can you guys come up with any people that got married into wealth? Kind of want to see if I have anybody that kind of keep their eye on, this person married this person and they become wealthy. Sometimes even get divorced and become wealthy, right? The one person I'm thinking about is I'm a football fan, if you all know me, and the Rams is my team. The old Rams owner, his wife, he died, like many years back. I think that's when they were still in Anaheim. Yeah. So Georgia was the wife, and she took over that wealth, which was a huge amount of wealth, for her. And she's not really, she doesn't really know the game that much. But anyway, she ended up selling it for like $2 billion to the current owner of the Rams when she was in St. Louis. So that's just telling you, she married into wealth, and wealth comes along with it, right? And another way is obviously to inherit wealth. And you have a lot of, and most of these people that inherit wealth is because their parents were landowners. Right. They had a lot of land, that built that, I'm not just talking about residential real estate. I'm talking commercial real estate, so that's another way you can do it. But most wealthy Americans, almost 90% of them were commoners that invest into real estate. That's why I want you to see there are people like you and I that just invest into it. They bought one, they bought another, they figured another way to buy another one. That's the majority of people, where, okay, you're a blue collar worker, you're making 80, you're making 100,000, and you just invest yourself. It's amazing. You can see two people. I don't know. My wife has gone from one job to another, where our co-workers that make the same amount as her, and they have a different lifestyle because we've done the investment route, and we failed in some areas, right? But so you can have that where you're making the same money. I'm hoping in January we're going to talk about investing in real estate. I'm going to interview this old man. It's pretty old now, but amazing story. He used to work for $1 a day, and he ended up buying like 22 homes. Imagine when you work $1, at the end of the day. So at the end of the week, at the end of the month, you make like $24, right? And it shared with me that so many other people that work with him, but somebody pulled him aside and say, hey, let's save our money. Because back then they can buy a house for $600 down, $300 down. That's how it started buying these homes. And, in the Compton, Carson area, it owns a lot of homes. So anyway, I just wanted to see most people are like you and I that do invest into it one home at a time. Alex, any comments on this?
No, that's a perfect example. It doesn't matter how much you make. It's just the mentality that you got to have, right? This is what I want, and I'm going to make it. And the reason the universe opens up for you is because you program your mind. Like, you don't even realize it, but it's your subconscious. And I don't want to get all psychological on you guys, but I'm a big believer in this. If you believe it, it'll happen. Why? Because without you noticing, you're going to do things that put you in that position, right? So I know it's not easy. I know we make it sound easy. I know it's not easy, but you got to start with one step, right? One step, and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We have one more ladder to climb. Okay. All right. So these are different people, just to give you, how they build their wealth, right? Mark Zuckerberg, of course, you guys know Facebook, was just a student, was it in Harvard, back then, that started this Facebook, and now is one of the richest men in the world. Angel Rich, Credit Stacker app, Bill Gates, Microsoft. Love Bill Gates' story, because even when he started, when he thought he got something good, nobody wanted it. He went to his dad and he gave 50,000 software away 50,000. That's giving to receiving. I just want, people don't see that part of Bill Gates in there. It's because he gave us 50,000 because he went to IBM. IBM could have been the richest, maker of everything now, but they said, no, we're good with what we have. So he gave 50,000 away, and all of a sudden, this mass following happened. And women that, married to, Miranda Carr, Snapchat co-founder's wife, right? Susan Dell, wife of Dell's, Dell's, and then that's kind of cool. I love that. Blue Ivy, daughter of Beyonce and Jay-Z. Of course, she's born into wealth, right? So some of us are born into it. Some, but most people work their way into it, right? So celebrities invested in real estate. That's kind of cool. Oprah. This is how these people take their own little thing and build it into massive stuff. Rihanna is a really good one. She became one of the pop stars that became a billionaire. Now, she invested in makeup stuff too. So that's cool. All right, so now let's talk about the last ladder we're going to talk about here, the wisdom ladder. How is wisdom in anything we get? If we get wisdom and get understanding, it will allow us to move, move up in our lives. So the wisdom here is we want you to start with home ownership and don't stop there. You got to start with one. And I always tell people it doesn't matter what the first one. I think people exhaust themselves and they want the first one to be this perfect home. When you say you want a perfect home, then you've already shut your mind from growing. It really is. It shuts your mind from growing like, oh, I want to be there for 40 years, so I don't need to grow anymore. And that's why when you get that one home, all you want to do is take care of it, spend money here, spend money there. Like, hey, even if you need to do some work on the property, I tell people before you do the work, consider, just sell yours and go buy one that's already, the work is done, and then go through the headache of it. So your mind is a terrible thing to waste. You get what you expect. If you go into it and say, okay, this is my first home, I'm going to get many more. Guess what? You're going to get many more. But if this is all I want, well, it's your choice. But don't forget, to get to the 2%, you've got to have it outside of your home, not in your home. All your wealth, because all your wealth you build in your home is really for just a legacy purpose, right? To pass it on to your children. But what can you gain while you're here? So again, we're putting you through the wisdom ladder here. So, and this is where I'm going to need Alex to come. So let's talk about all these things one at a time. We got about 10 minutes, a little less than 10 minutes. So overcoming high rates and playing the long game. What's your concept in that?
My concept is interest rates have always been, the average rate is probably in the 8s, if not higher, in the history of real estate. Well, not history of real estate, right? But of our economy. Low rates, like the ones we've seen recently, that was the exception, right? So what happens is that we have to let go of that. And remember, the guys, the people that are out there listening that are paying rent, right? You're paying rent. You don't own the home, right? So are you going to prevent ownership or having your own home because the rate isn't what it was 3% or 2% or whatever that was? So what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to say the rate doesn't matter, but remember that what you're trying to do is bigger than the rate. You're trying to build wealth, right? You're trying to have your own home. You're trying to have your own piece of land, like Jerry mentioned at the beginning, right? Because you got to go get your own, right? So rates, look, don't let the rate prevent you from buying a home, because guess what? You still got to pay for a roof. And here's what I'm going to tell you. As rates go up, rents are going to go up even more, because investors are not going to stop purchasing homes. They're not. Property values are going down, rates are going up. So investors out there are buying all these homes, right? They're continuing to buy all these homes. And if they're paying a higher rent, I mean, a higher mortgage because the rate is higher, guess what they're going to pass that on to? They're going to pass that on to you, the renter, because they got to make money. And remember, investor buys it at a higher rate. They're going to rent it at a higher amount, and you're going to still wind up paying a higher rate, just indirectly. I really hope that makes
absolutely
sense. So you're not getting away from paying the high rate. Well, I don't want to buy a home because I don't want to pay a high rate. Guess what? It doesn't matter, because your rent's going up, because the investor's going to pass that on to you.
Absolutely.
Just,
And also, just to add to that, I put in play the long game. We are in the middle of baseball, playoffs right now. And unfortunately, my Dodgers got, exited a little too early. But what we need to understand is, you have, ball players that are really good at getting to base, right? They just got to hit it to first base or second base and getting on base, right? And then you have the slugger, right? Everybody loves the slugger. You can hit a home run, like that, like Aaron Judge. I still think Barry Bonds was pretty cool. I don't know. I've actually got a chance to meet with him when he was playing. He was in LA. And I met with the guy. I really liked him, so I know a lot of people don't. But I used to see that guy come to plate, and everybody don't want to talk to him, right? I mean, everybody don't want to hit, the pitchers are pitching away from him, they're walking him and all that stuff, right? So you have those. But the people that make a baseball win are those guys that get on base. They keep the game going. They give their team a chance. If you're just waiting for the slugger for the home run, it doesn't quite happen all the time. That's why, Aaron Judge, he got 62 home runs out of 162 games. And most guys do over 100. I'm not really an expert in baseball, so let me not pretend to be one. But most guys, what's the other part where, you just, you score a lot, you get to base a lot more, a lot more players do that than the sluggers that hit a home run, right? I think the second person besides Aaron Judge, you say, is like under 40. So he was 62. So it's not often you hit the home run, but if you play the long run game. So what do I mean in today's market? It doesn't matter what the rate is. Can you find something you get? Because the truth is, the prices are correcting itself, but it's not quite correcting itself to make it as affordable as it was before, right? The rate's gone up, so maybe a property that's $1 million is dropped to 900,000. Not really, maybe 950 is what it is. The rate is gone up, where it's what that person that's buying $1 million property today, when rates was down, they could probably buy $1.2 million home in the back then. Now, $1 million property is dropped down to 950. So it's not really the same, affordability. However, if you play the long game, you get into it. Hopefully, somewhere along the line, I still kind of feel by next year, when election time comes, rates will come back down. Now you have an opportunity to refinance, and your property value is still going to be going up. It's not stopping, because there's still more people that need home. So, and then I say, find the opportunity out there. Now, Alex is with East West Bank. Alex, I don't know how comfortable you are to share some of the programs you guys have, and the deals that you offer.
Well, yeah. So I work for East West Bank, and so before I tell you the what we offer, I just want to start off by telling you why we offer it. Because if I tell you just say it, you guys are gonna get off the call, and then you're gonna tell other people, and they're gonna tell you no, it's not possible, right? So I'm actually the National Community Outreach Officer. So what my job is to make sure that underserved communities have access to homeownership. Because, and why is it that important to the bank? Well, the reason that's important to the bank is because East West Bank is the largest Asian bank in the U.S. So what does that mean? We're the largest minority-owned bank in the U.S. So it was founded. The reason East West Bank was founded was to provide services to minorities, right? So that it's very deep in its culture, right? So the reason I say that, I just wanted to say that because so you guys could understand where I'm coming from. So the programs that we have, rates have gone up everywhere else. With us, we're still in the mid fours. So you could still get a rate in the mid fours. The fees, the flexibility in qualifying, it's extremely flexible. So that's a great opportunity for you guys, especially if you guys are like, well, the reason I don't want to buy is because of high rates. Well, guess what? You don't have that reason with us. So, and again, I'm still stuck on when people tell me I don't want to buy because of rates, you're not going to get away from it because it's going to translate in other ways, your rent, your utilities. So just keep that in mind. But as far as what we offer, that's one of the things we offer. We offer the ability to get into a home without, now you still got to qualify, but we've made the qualifying a bit easier. And we've also kept the rate where it's at.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. And I just, want to add with, consult with the Gary Nix team. Since our goal is to build the community up, if you've ever met with us, you'll understand that's in the core of what we do, how we can get everybody to move up in their life. Because this is really how, wealth is built. And, a lot of families either enjoying each other when their wealth ladder is growing, or they are fighting with each other and struggling when their wealth ladder is down. So my commitment is to take people up, so it doesn't matter. And I'm really critical about this. If you make 40,000, you make 500,000, it doesn't matter to me. Because listen, in my world, I see people that make, everybody live where they make money, right? You're making under $100,000, you probably have lesser amount of things you can do with it, right? But you see people making 250, 300,000, they're just doing more stuff at a high level. But until either one of those people start saving and investing, they're not growing wealth. They're making money for the day. Investing allows you to grow your wealth, for tomorrow. So I know with myself, I have a mindset like, okay, this is my retirement amount. This is funds I want coming into me, passive funds. So you have to create that lifestyle while you're still working, so that you can enjoy your after working life. I love traveling, so that's going to be something my wife and I do when we decide we don't want to work. So whatever that case may be for you, we're here to help you with that. I believe we've come to the end. Let me just now thank you for all of you that come on. Really, thank you so much. I think we end up with some more people. Thank you all for coming. We do have a raffle. I didn't mention it in the beginning of this one. Let me just, any last minute questions, any questions, for Alex while he's here?
Well, let me add something, Gary, before we leave. Is look, everybody out there is saying, wait, I don't know where this is coming. I do know where it's coming from. The people are saying, wait for real estate to go down. The market's gonna crash. It's not, and I'm telling you why. In 2008, the reason the values went down so much was because what happened is everybody got caught off guard, including developers. KB Homes, a lot of developers had a huge hundreds and hundreds of homes out there. And when the market crashed because they had no money, they had no access to continue building, there was an over inventory. There was too much properties vacant that nobody was buying. That is what caused values to go down. This time, we don't have that. There isn't builders building hundreds and hundreds of properties. You understand? I just want you guys to remember that. So yes, rates went up, but they didn't go up. They just went back to normal. And if some of you guys are waiting for it to go down, you may just, you're going to be waiting for a while. You know what I mean? So just take that in consideration. Don't listen to all the people that are just trying to put fear in your heart. Forget that. You just got to do what you got to do.
All right.
That was it.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Okay, I guess, thank you. Let's go ahead and do the drawing. So we got drawing, we have a Costco gift card, for gas, you can fill up gas. I'm sure there's a cost. Please, if you win, you need to contact us right away. I'll leave this chat open. If I don't have your